True Detective Season 4 opens up a literally and metaphorically chilling new chapter in Ennis, Alaska, under the long polar night. This season, led by Isa Lopez, introduces Jodie Foster as the sharp police chief Liz Danvers and state trooper Kaylee Reese as the complex Evangeline Navarro. Set against the backdrop of endless Arctic darkness, the show blends a haunting world of mysteries and ghosts with an exceptionally well-crafted detective story, which promises to rejuvenate the series with its spine-tingling atmosphere. So in this video, we will explore the entire first episode of the True Detective Season 4. And here's your spoiler warning, so without further ado, let's begin.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Silent Night, Unholy Night. What's up with the town? Just as the sun sets for the last time before a long, dark winter, a hunter prepares for the weather, eyeing a herd of caribou. But then, things get real weird real fast. The herd sniffs something ominous in the air and the animals throw themselves off a cliff. The show keeps it mysterious, but it's like we were trying to escape from some unseen horror, which was so horrific that death seemed safe. Set in Ennis, Alaska, a mining town so far north it's practically high-fiving the North Pole, True Detective Night Country plunges into a world of perpetual darkness. This time, it's not your usual detective story. Jodie Foster steps in as Liz Danvers, a no-nonsense police chief alongside boxer Kaylee Reese, who plays Evangeline Navarro, a state trooper wrestling with an unsolved case. They're the new sheriffs in town, and the whole scene is pretty damn icy and dark. However, this time around, there's a sense of playfulness, a stark contrast to the series' usual steamy and sinister feel. And yeah, Billie Eilish Just Bury a Friend does an awesome job of setting the tone of the show. You know, kind of like those first scenes from a Shakespearean play. Anyway, let's dive into the episode itself. As should be expected, Night Country's Alaska is freezing wild and not exactly welcoming, but it's also a goldmine for scientists digging into life's ancient secrets and how exactly the first ounce of life came into existence. We get to see the Tsalal Station, a top-secret research lab where 8 male researchers suddenly pull a Houdini. They quite literally go poop, kind of like when you go take a leak after multiple beers that never return. So what was up? Well, the only hit was a researcher's eerie last words, "She's awake," before everyone disappeared. Next thing we know, there's just a lone human tongue resting under the kitchen island. In an investigation, details matter. Is it murder? The always on-point Chief Danvers and her not-so-beloved right-hand man Hank Pryor dive into this mind-bending and literally cold case. In the family drama department, we learn that Hank's son, Pete, a junior officer, has got more respect for Liz than his old man. He beats them to the creepy scene at Tsalal. As for the timeline, it's dark times in Ennis, Alaska, with 3 days of non-stop night. And it's been a week since anyone heard a peep from the Tsalal crew. Next, Danvers hears a blaring TV, scattered cell phones, and the message, "We are all dead," scribbled on a whiteboard. Interestingly, the TV was playing the Beatles song called Twist and Shout, and as soon as Chief Danvers hears it, she goes extremely restless and desperate to kill the song. She finally manages to do so and brushes off her erratic behavior, reclaiming that she just wasn't a Beatles fan. However, it is amply clear that there was more than meets the eye. We later learn in the episode that she was somehow involved in a DUI case that involved Danvers and her stepdaughter, Leia, and it may have been this accident that killed Leia's dad. Could it be that the song was being played when the accident happened? Coming back to the crime scene, everything was in place and it was like the crew was going to stroll back in any time, wondering why the cops were crashing their pad without a warrant. But Hank, who's not the sharpest tool in the shed and has some issues with women, thinks they'll actually show up. Liz, on the other hand, knew that they were gone for good, and after spotting the human tongue on the floor, she figures out the crew's been missing for days. Upon closer investigation, she surmises that although everything looked fresh and untouched, the mayo on a sandwich had become runny and watery, which takes at least 48 hours. Being a mom who's cleaned up her fair share of old sandwiches, Liz knows this mayo clue is a big deal. Furthermore, the wet clothes had started stinking. On the other hand, Hank was the kind of dad who'd rather diss his son in front of the boss than notice such details. Oh, and a side note, Hank was about to get married to some lady from Vladivostok he never even met. The Ghosts of Christmas Past. Who is hiding what? Jodie Foster in the show was not really the FBI agent Clarisse from The Silence of the Lambs. Yes, Clarisse was smart, but Liz Danvers, she's probably gotten the smarts and curiosity of Hannibal Lecter himself. Right off the bat, she figures out the severed tongue on the scene once belonged to a native woman because the tongue had been scarred from years of mending fishing nets. When Liz gets back to the headquarters, Evangeline Navarro, played by Kaylee Reese, is already waiting in her office. We see Navarro earlier earlier in a scene where she takes in a woman beater, so we know that she has a thing for abused women and wants to do all she can to help them. Word about the severed tongue spread fast, and it seems that Evangeline Navarro has got a ghost hunting her, the unsolved murder of Annie K, a local activist found dead years ago, who was also missing a tongue. Liz brushes it off as a coincidence, trying to get Evangeline out of her office, but the tension's getting thick. Their backstory trickles out in the first episode. Liz and Evangeline used to work together before Evangeline got bumped into the trooper's office. There's this awkward moment where Liz makes a comment about Evangeline's spirit animal, but it's half-hearted. It's clear whatever beef they have, it's personal, not just some run-off-the-mill prejudice. When Evangeline heads out, Liz gets down to business and asks Hank for Annie K's case file, because really, how often do tongues just go missing in a small town? So it seems that there's had to become some connection between the case of the two tongues. But the files are at Hank's place, and he seems a bit reluctant to give them to his boss. Is he trying to keep the case cold or just messing with his boss? That's the million-dollar question. Liz then ropes in Pete to sneak the files from his dad's place, which stirs up some regular home drama. Pete's wife, Kayla, a hardworking Indiapacton nursing student, isn't exactly thrilled. They've got a kid, Darwin, and Pete's bent on not repeating his dad's mistakes. But duty calls actually Danvers, and he risks his family's frowns for the job. The episode was a strong undercurrent of parenthood issues. Liz gets dragged out at work because of her stepdaughter, Leia, has been making a private tape with a 16-year-old kid. Liz's parenting style is all about tough love, but she seems kind of detached too. As the two of them leave the spot, after Danvers confronts the mother of the kid, Leia and Liz witness a car accident up close, and as Liz walks up to a crashed car, she recalls a similar incident, like she was reliving a past trauma. Silent whispers from the missing tongues. In Ennis, everyone's past is tangled like a messy web, which makes the disappearance of the Salal crew stick out like a sore thumb. But Ennis isn't just about open books, it's got its share of dark secrets. Annie, a young midwife and activist, was found in a freezing shipping container at the town's edge. Evangeline discovered her beaten and stabbed over 30 times, her tongue removed. Additionally, Annie was hated by many in Ennis for standing against the mining companies, the town's lifeline. Evangeline was so wrapped up in the case that Hank, the top cop, before Liz arrived, sidelined her for bugging the mining bigwigs. When Liz was asked to pick up where she had left off, Liz made her shut up by telling her that it was Evangeline herself who failed to close the case. At Danvers' house, Pete trades the files he stole from his dad for the secrets of Annie K's brutal end. Later that night, Liz dreams of a little boy calling her mommy and hears the same eerie whisper from Salal. She's awake. After waking up, she finds a grubby old stuffed polar bear at her feet. So Liz is all cynical and skeptical, but she does have her own demons. On the other hand, Evangeline used to be a military vet, and her tours in the Middle East left her believing we're all flying alone in this world, even God. You see, she started believing in God the day she saw a colleague whose face had been blown to hell. Not only was the colleague standing straight, but she whispered something into Evangeline's ear. I guess we'll know more about it later. Also, she's got her sister Julia to look after, who's battling delusions and mental health issues, something Evangeline's seen before in their mom. For company, there's Kavik, the chill barkeep and Julia's boss. Evangeline keeps it casual with him, more like a fun distraction than anything serious, but she does know how to rock it in bed. In fact, even in bed, she's all about control, which Kavik doesn't mind. Annie's unsolved case seems to be the fuel keeping Evangeline's fire burning. She meets Annie's brother Ryan, a miner, probing if Annie had any ties to Salal, but Ryan's worn out from grief. He's seen this film before and doesn't like the ending. I mean, he doesn't need any more reminders of his sister, especially when his tap water's tainted brown from the very mines that Annie's fought against. Ennis, also called the end of the world, feels like a place where everyone's on their own, yet weirdly connected. It's as if the town, fraying into darkness and ice, binds its people in strange ways. Evangeline hears the same whisper. She's awake. Also, she has close call with a very real one-eyed polar bear in town. On the other hand, a restless Liz starts piecing together the cases of Annie K and the missing scientists. She lays out photos from Annie's case next to those from Salal, and there it is, among the whispers, missing tongues, and bear sightings, Annie's pink parka, now on the back of a scientist named Raymond Clark. But wait, there's more. A connection that goes back to the first season of True Detectives. Annie's case files photos have a strange spiral mark imprinted on her body. This could mean that her death was somehow connected to the Yellow King cult from True Detective Season 1. twisted from terror. Liz, diving into the dark Alaska night chasing a lead, bumps into Evangeline, already scoping out the scene. Despite their rocky history, it's their similarities that start to appear. As they look for the parka, Liz gets a call, but before that, you should know this part of the story. In the midst of all the eerie happenings, one of the most interesting figures is Travis's specter. Unlike the run-of-the-mill spirits, this guy has a flair for the dramatic and communicated through some kind of interpretive dance. This spectral show is all for Rose Agnew, who seemed to be connected to Travis. Rose seems unfazed by Travis's ghostly visit, which goes on to tell that she's either seen him before or is no stranger to encounters with the departed. In the end, it is Travis's ghost who not so subtly nudges Rose towards the icy graves of the researchers. They were found in the middle of nowhere, all of them dead. What were they doing here? Did they hear what the Caribous in the first scene heard and ran for their lives and straight into death? This scene blurs the lines between the physical and the metaphysical and suggests that the otherworldly might be playing a part in unraveling the murder mysteries. And there's this lingering thought. Travis's ghostly cameo might just be a clue that his own death is tangled up with Annie's and the researchers' deaths. Oh, and the strangest thing about Rose was that she was gutting a wolf. Not really strange, but gutsy. Rose reports the freezing corpses to the cops, and that's when Liz and Evangeline reach the crime scene. The naked bodies of the Salal researchers had twisted faces, and that's where the episode ends. Marvelous verdict. Wrapping up our deep dive into the first episode of True Detective Night Country Season 4, we're left mulling over the epigraph that appeared in the beginning. For we do not know what beasts the night dreams when its hours grow too long for even God to be awake. This line, a nod to Hildred Castaigne's horror story, which some say inspired Season 1. It ties neatly with a question that Billie Eilish asks in her song, "When we all fall asleep, where do we go?" In a night so endless that even God might snooze off, what happens when humans have to rub shoulders with their darkest fears. This season steers the series into uncharted waters, especially compared to Season 1's more subtle metaphysical feel. Season 4 dives headfirst into the supernatural realm. The ghostly guidance of Travis and Navarro's intense military flashbacks are just the tip of the iceberg. The recurring whispers of "she's awake" weave a supernatural thread throughout the episode and suggest that Annie might be seeking a posthumous vengeance, or metaphorically, that her case is being resurrected, compelling Danvers and Navarro to untangle a larger conspiracy linked to her death. As we eagerly wait for the next episode, one thing's for sure: Ennis and the mysteries it harbors are far from done with us.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.